Now, I'm sure that you all know about efforts to desegregate schools in America, from Brown versus Board to Ruby Bridges and the Little Rock Nine. But how many of you can name the first 3 African American students to graduate from the University of Georgia? In the year 1959, 2 students, Charlene Hunter and Hamilton Holmes, applied to the university to pursue careers in journalism and medicine. They did this with the help and support of their families and organizations such as the NAACP and the Atlanta Committee for Cooperative Action. As their applications were in opposition to the school's Black exclusion policies, they needed all the help they could get. After being initially rejected on the basis of unavailable housing, Hunter and Holmes continued to apply to the university every quarter for the next year. No longer able to take no for an answer, the pair decided to file a federal suit against UGA on September 2, 1960. Their legal team consisted of attorneys Donald Hallowell, Constance Baker Motley, Vernon Jordan, and Horace Ward, another Black graduate who applied to UGA in the past. The result of their case was given on January 6 the following year, with Judge William Boodle ordering that the university finally admit Holmes and Hunter. However, despite their win, the 2 students were still met with opposition. On January 7, 1961, the day following their win in court, Governor S. Ernest Vandiver issued a statement declaring that Hunter and Holmes' admittance was a danger to the university, and even went so far as to try to have the school closed on the day the 2 students were meant to register for classes. Although, Vandiver never signed an official order or informed the UGA administration, so the school never closed, and Judge Boodle officially overturned the closure 2 days later. Now officially registered for classes, Hunter and Holmes tried their best to settle into campus life. Charlene Hunter dormed in the Central Myers dormitory, while Hamilton Holmes lived off campus with a family in Athens. However, around them grew unrest and multiple protests and demonstrations against their attendance. The most extreme protest came in the form of a riot on the night of January 11, 1961. After a basketball game, hundreds of students and outsiders gathered outside of Hunter's dormitory. The mob hurled rocks and bottles at windows, carried signs covered in racial slurs, and called for the campus to remain segregated. Eventually, the local police had to be called, breaking up the riot with tear gas and fire hoses. On the day following the riot, both Hunter and Holmes received notice from the Dean of Students, Joseph Williams, that they were being withdrawn from the school effective immediately. The 2 were then escorted off campus by police and returned to their homes in Atlanta. 2 days later, on January 14th, a federal court ordered that the students be readmitted and their withdrawal overturned. The university then announced that they would be expelling all students involved in future demonstrations and protests. Afterwards, more than 300 UGA faculty members signed a petition condemning the riot and even performed nightly patrols to keep peace on campus. After the riot, Hunter continued to live on campus pursuing her degree in journalism. She used interviews with the media to hone her skills and joined groups like the Red and Black, UGA student newspaper. Holmes continued to live off campus and focused on getting into medical school. Due to his many academic achievements, he was inducted into the Phi Beta Kappa Honor Society in 1963. Following their graduation in 1963, Hunter worked as an editorial assistant for The New Yorker and later became their first Black staff writer. She then went on to work with even bigger companies such as the New York Times, PBS, NPR, and CNN. Throughout her career, she has won 2 National News and Documentary Emmy Awards, 2 Peabody Awards, and many others. Holmes went on to become the first Black student admitted to the Emory School of Medicine. After serving 2 years in the U.S. Army, he completed his residency and became an assistant professor of orthopedics. He served as chief of orthopedics at the Veterans Administration Hospital in Atlanta, medical director of Grady Memorial Hospital, head of orthopedic surgery at Grady, and an associate dean at Emory. In 1983, he became the first Black member of the Board of Trustees at the UGA Foundation. Holmes passed away in 1995 following surgery. Even though Hunter and Holmes were the first African American students admitted to UGA, they weren't the first to graduate there. That honor goes to Mary Frances Early. Early was a graduate student who decided to transfer to UGA after learning about the riot and seeing Hunter's photo in the news. Early graduated with a master's in education in 1962. Does her name sound familiar? Well, it should. UGA's College of Education was named after Mary Frances Early in 2020. While this is an important part of our campus's history, it is also important to recognize how this impacts our present day. I'm extremely grateful to people like Charlene Hunter, Hamilton Holmes, and Mary Frances Early, who made it possible for students like myself to carve their own paths and make a name for ourselves in spaces that have historically sought to keep us out.